Okay, so we're going back to this one here. Determine the exact values of the trig ratio for theta if now the terminal arm of an angle theta in standard position passes through the point -3, -5. Okay, well, I like a visual because I'm a visual learner. Okay, so if I go -3, -5 would be right there, right? And even if you're not a visual learner, I hope you appreciate us drawing the picture because it really cements your understanding, right? Even if you forget the theory, you could always go back to what you already know, what makes sense. So the terminal arm of an angle in standard position, that means angle in standard position, what is that again? Remind me, starting on the positive x-axis, you're rotating this way, counterclockwise. Okay, so what are we going to do? So the P is at -3, -5. Do we know what the radius is? Is the radius 1? What do you think? It's going to be more than 1 for sure, right? So what are we going to do? So first, figure out the R. So that's going to be square root of x squared plus y squared. So R is the square root of 9 plus 25, 30, root of 34. Root of 34. Okay. So what are we going to do? What's the cosine? Cosine theta is x over r. X over r. So that's going to be -3 over root of 34. So far so good. No one's saying no. Okay. Or sine theta would be opposite over hypotenuse. So what's the opposite? It's going to be y over the radius. It's going to be -5 over root of 34. And then tangent theta is equals to, okay, this is the question earlier. This is the question earlier. Isn't the tangent theta, the tan theta is equals to sine theta over cos theta? Yes. We know that, right? We know that sine theta over cos theta equals to tan theta. So what can we do? I've shown you the shortcut and I'll show you the long cut. There's no such thing. Okay, so the shortcut is, if this is your angle, opposite would be -5 over, opposite over adjacent of -3, or you can say 5/3. Right? That's the shortcut. You can get it from here. What's the long cut? The long cut would be, if you know what this is, okay, sine theta is going to be -5 over root of 34. Cos theta is -3 over root of 34. And then it's the same thing as multiplying the reciprocal, so -5 over root of 34 times reciprocal of this, root of 34 over -3. Root of 34 cancels. We're left with -5 over -3, which is 5/3. So if you have the point, you can use that. If you don't have the point and you only have the cos theta and sine theta, you can use this strategy. Okay, so we have two different strategies to do. Okay, so now secant theta. What would that be? Secant is the reciprocal of cos theta. So that the easy way would be to reciprocate this. Square root of 34 over negative 3. Cosecant theta is root of 34 over negative 5. And then cotangent theta is equal to 3 over 5. Is that good? Yes? So, now we're on the next. How do we even do this? This doesn't have any points. How can we figure out all of the trig ratios that go along with this? We know cosecant is 3. How do anybody proposing on what we should do?
Because you know that it's 3 over 1.
Mm-hmm.
So can you work backwards with that?
Yes. Yeah. So exactly. So your colleague here said, okay, I see cosecant of theta is equals to 3, so that means I can work backwards. I can figure out which trig ratio? Sine. Yeah, so that means I can go sine theta is the reciprocal of this, which is 1/3. Okay, so what does that mean? If sine is 1/3, yeah, we can say opposite over hypotenuse, right? So opposite over hypotenuse. So what's missing? Adjacent. Okay, so we can say hypotenuse or the radius is 3. Okay, so x squared plus y squared equals to r squared. Okay, so opposite, that's the y, right? Yes? And then the hypotenuse is the 3, so we can say opposite is the y, so 1 squared equals to 3 squared. We're looking for x squared. So how can you figure out x squared? X squared is equals to 9 minus 1, right? 3 squared minus 1. So x squared is equals to 8. So x is equals to square root of 8. Okay. So we know x is 8, root of 8 rather. So where do we go from here? Do you have a visual? So the opposite is 1. So that means the y is 1. And x is root of 8. What's root of 8? 2 point something, right? So 2 point something. So it would be... Yeah, 2.8 something, right? So this is where the point is. The point is 1 root of 8. I'm going to introduce a circle in here. Okay. So what is that angle right there? Okay, or we don't want the angle, but we want the ratio. So cosine of theta is what? Adjacent over the hypotenuse. Adjacent is root of 8. Hypotenuse is 3. Sine, we already figured that out. Sine theta is equals to 1/3. Tangent, okay. So tangent would be root of 8 over 1. Or 1 over root of 8. Oh, I got it backwards, did I? That's why it's not making sense to me. Root of 8, comma 1. Okay, this is my mistake in here. Should be root of 8, 1. secant. Okay, so from here on, it's pretty easy, right? Reciprocal of 3 is 3 over root of 8. Cosecant we already have, and then cotangent is going to be root of 8 over 1. Is that fine? Pretty fine. Okay, good. Determining angle measures in trigonometry ratio for a given point. How do you find theta? How do you solve for theta? Well, this is probably not the best place to start. Let's start here with, because cosecant. Cosecant is a reciprocal of sine, right? So that means sine theta is equals to 2 over 9. So if I tell you what is the angle when the opposite is 2 and the hypotenuse is 9, what angle would that be? Mm-hmm. 13 degrees? Approximately. Okay, good. Now, I have to backtrack a little bit. Do you remember this? Mm-hmm. Okay, what this is, okay, let's remind ourselves of this one again, because this is, we're gonna tie that in with that. So, these are the 4 quadrants. In quadrant 1, sine theta, cos theta, tan theta are all positive, greater than 0. So everything is positive. In quadrant 2, only the sine is positive, right? Cos is the x, right? If you think about this, x is negative in here. Let's think about that for a second. X is negative here, so cos is negative. Sine is the y, is positive. What about tangent? It's going to be negative because it's sine divided by cos. So positive divided by negative is a negative. What about here? Only tangent is positive. Only cos is positive. Okay? So you look at this one in here. Sine of theta is equals to positive 2, 9. So where do you think sine is positive? Okay, so sine is positive in quadrants 1 and quadrant 2. And this is where those reference angle is going to come into play. So, how do you solve for theta? So sine theta is equals to 2 over 9. To isolate the theta, you did sine inverse, right? 2 over 9. So what's that equal to? 12.8333. So 12.83. So this 8 radius. Okay. So 12.8